we're going to look at some individual organisms that are in those microflora and fauna categories. This first one is a bacteria. Bacteria in general, you have three shapes. If you remember from Bio 104, the most common is rod shaped, which would be these here. You have the coccus. Those are spheres and spirillum, spirals, just as a 104 review. But bacteria, they'll grow in colonies, and those colonies can actually glue soil particles together, helps create aggregates, and they will also kind of clog up smaller pores, but they are more beneficial than not. If we take a look, you see that it's most dominant in these areas. There's anaerobic, or ones that can live without oxygen, say your soil is saturated with water, or aerobic. The aerobic ones are most beneficial. Heterotrophic, eating other things. Some are chemoautotrophic. What does that mean? Well, they're autotrophs. They are able to produce their own food, but they don't do it via photosynthesis. They do it by breaking down large inorganic compounds, and the energy released from those compounds is what fuels their food production. Most are saprophytic, meaning what? They eat dead stuff. Okay, they're decomposer. But there are some that are parasitic. Now, here's a specific one. There's a lot of different bacteria, of course, but this one's actually a disease, crown gall. You might have seen galls like this growing on bark, and it's a very well-studied plant disease, kind of often described as being like a plant cancer. It's like a plant tumor there. And what happens is this bacterium will hijack the DNA of the plant, insert part of its own DNA into the plant's DNA, and force the plant to produce compounds that benefits that bacteria. It's crazy. The this bacteria has been used in genetic engineering. You think about it, you're taking genes out of one thing and inserting it into another species. That's going on. GMOs, right? And some other cool things. You can look at the notes section of the PowerPoint. I'll put a bunch of stuff in there that's kind of cool. But something else just to mention is that, this is a serious issue economically, because it would impact nurseries and orchards and vineyards, things like that. It's going to weaken the plant. So this is like a parasitic relationship between the two. So that's one bacteria. Now the fungus, these are a big one. I mentioned the hyphae, the end of the hypha singular, the threads. That's actually the body of a fungus. The thing that you see pop up, the mushroom, that's just like the bloom of a fungus. And in this image here, you can see the mycelium just stretching out through the soil. Again, these can be, they hold the soil together, creating aggregates and biochannels, things like that. Very important. You know, plants communicate using fungus. There's some crazy stuff with trees to where certain species of fungus acts like a communication network, and you can take nutrients from one tree and pass it on to the next tree using the mycelial network. Oh, it's crazy. But these are dominant in forests like ours. And tilling is a bad thing for fungus because think about it, it's going to break up the mycelial mat. Not so good. Most of them are decomposers. Some are parasitic, but believe it or not, some are predators. Yes, predators, to where they hunt their prey like a cat or some other animal. This is cool. So you can take a look up. I'm going to post this video another way on Blackboard, or if you have the PowerPoint open, just the file download, you can look at it. But it's a video of this fungus trapping nematode roundworms. And they have different ways of doing it. They can have like sticky traps, like mouse traps. There's uh, like a ring, it kind of snares them. They also will release toxins, bake almost like a venomous snake. They'll immobilize the nematode and then it's able to digest it. It's crazy. Check this out. This is really cool. In the notes is a bunch of other cool info about these guys. They're pretty sweet. Another one that you see common, and I get this every time we have a wet summer on my tomatoes, this wilt fungus or blight. And this is another pathogen. This fungus affects the way that the plant can take in water and also the flow of nutrients, causing either, death on the leaves. It kind of kills the leaf. That's what the wilt is on tomatoes, or it could cause the whole plant to wilt and often die. These fungi are host specific. So one will affect one plant, but not others. That's one of the benefits of having alternating crops. You have this huge area of the same crop, let alone the same genetic strain. This could be devastating, absolutely devastating. Then another one that's very common, especially in like greenhouses, nurseries, my house plants at home. You overwater them, you don't have proper drainage, and it causes root rot. And this fungus attacks the roots and kind of keeps the plant from, harvesting nutrients and taking in water and basically kills the roots. And some of them can actually specialize in seedlings and attack the seedlings so they don't even germinate or grow. Another negative organism in the soil. Then you have something called mold bacteria. Some of them are good. They definitely are dominant in soils that have kind of moisture stress. They dry out. They can be tolerant in those. Something that's really cool about some species, they can form unique compounds that act as antibiotics. They're in a relationship to some plants. They might release antibiotics that increase the growth of that plant to help it fight an infection. So that's something that's really cool about them. And I believe that they've actually harvested some of the antibiotics. Let's take a look at the notes here. Yeah. The streptomycin, those are ones that are produced for human use. There's a bunch of compounds that have come from Acetomycetes. It's pretty cool. But some of them are parasitic, and like this potato scab that's pictured here. It kind of looks like a fungal infection, but it it causes a pretty harmful effect on potato crops. Again, another issue with having only one species or one variety of potato in a crop. You get this in your crop and it'll spread very quickly. Plants don't have a resistance. It's good to have many different types. Algae and photosynthetic plant-like organisms, they can grow into very dense mats in the soil, as you see pictured here in canyon lands. That's what this links for. The algae creates this crust, soil crust, something really cool to check out. That's kind of special to that region and other desert-like places. I haven't seen it in Arizona, but I'm sure that, it's out there. It's something I'm keeping an eye out for. It'd be kind of cool to see. And they add nitrogen to the soil. That's a bonus. So, but they need a lot of water. The other thing, we got some hunters out there, the microfauna animal like protozoa, amoebas. Guys got those pseudopods, fake legs. They hunt bacteria. So do euglena. Euglena are cool. You might have learned about both of these in 105 or 104, Bio 104. These guys can photosynthesize, but also eat other things. So they're plants and animals. That's pretty cool. And then when they eat those things, the bacteria, the bacteria have these nutrients in them. If they have an excess of them, they release them into the soil, and they're plant available nutrients. It's pretty cool. These guys live only in an area called the rhizosphere. What's that? Well, the rhizosphere is the area where the plant roots are, just a few millimeters from the roots. And this is where all the microbes live, the rhizosphere. And it it's a very, very important zone of the soil that you manage. This is where you do a lot of your testing. This is where you want to all of your nutrients and the balanced pH, and you want to have this biome there where the roots are. And soils that lack that or lack the conditions to grow that biomass, those plants suffer greatly. It's pretty cool. And this is where all the nutrient cycling occurs. And you got two terms here, mineralization and immobilization. In the next part, we're going to talk about these terms and specifics dealing with nitrogen. Okay. So there are a lot of really cool soil organisms. I try to cover that quickly because I'll get down rabbit holes like crazy, but check those links out. And if you find anything cool while you're nerding out, share it. Let me see it. It's it's cool stuff.